Hey guys, it's Robert Greenblatt here, and I just wanted to jump on real quick and make this video. We had a great team meeting this morning, and we were talking about pricing and what does that mean in today's market. Well, there was a time in the last couple of years that you felt like you could just keep going higher and higher and higher, and there was a lot of frenziness in the marketplace. So we talked about strategies as things are settling down and becoming a more normalized market. And we talked about different tools and information. And the truth is, it's very easy to arrive at the same price as our client as long as we have the right information with us. I will tell clients right out of the gate, even before I'm in their house, when we're just talking on the phone, setting the appointment, hey, pricing a house in most cases is pretty straightforward. And I tell them, I'm not going to come into your home. And if you're a seller watching this, I'm not going to come into your home and dictate anything to you. However, I am going to bring all of the information that we need to review, all of the information of what has sold in your neighborhood recently, what's under contract, what's sitting on the market, and we're going to go over that together. And most of the time, if we take the time to go over that together, we're going to end up pretty much at the same place from a pricing strategy. And I find that works really best. That's just basically the approach. One of the tools I wanted to share with you that we use, if you're an agent watching this and you know about this report, that's great. If you are thinking about selling your house, this is one of the things I bring with me. This is short and sweet, and I want to share this with you real quick. So what you guys are looking at here is a report in our multiple listing service called Result Statistics. And I just picked it up for a random neighborhood in our service area. The way I set it up is it's one particular neighborhood. It is showing us everything on the market, everything which is under contract, and everything which is sold. And in this case, I'm looking back 120 days. And while this doesn't have photos and elaborate descriptions in this particular document, it's a great tool because if you go look at it and we scroll through it, and now I'm looking at everything that has sold in the last 120 days of single family homes in this particular neighborhood, we can see great information. We can see the address of the property. We can see bedrooms and bathrooms, and in this case, most of them are identical. We can see when they were built, which is all basically around the same time. Lot sizes are similar. Square footage does vary, but you can see some generalities in here where a lot of them are pretty similarly sized. Now, here's where it gets fun. We can see what the list price was, and we can see what it actually sold for, the closed price. Now, when we look at that, we can look at the dates as well. We can see what kind of concessions or credits were given, which was really not significant in this data set. And here, these last two columns are probably my favorite. We can see the list price to sale price ratio, as well as DOM, which is days on market. So people always ask, how long is it going to take me to sell my house? How long? Well, from the time we put a for sale sign in front of your house to the time we sign a contract, that is essentially DOM, days on market. Could be another 2 weeks, 2 months from the time we sign the contract to the time we close, depending on what we negotiate, depending if the buyer's using financing, a lot of different variables there. However, as you can see in this data set, if we take the last column first, 6 days, 10 days, 5 days, 15 days, a couple of them were zeros. So those were probably essentially under contract before the sign even went in the ground. 2 days, 1 day. However, when I look at this, there are a few outliers. I love finding the outliers because I want to know what's going on there. So you see, we have a 61 day, we have a 43 day. So something was happening there. It's possible that they were overpriced. Now, how do we know that? We don't know for sure, but the next step is let's look at this list price to sale price ratio. And now we can see that those two, which sat on the market for a long time, they sold for 97 and 96% of the last list price. There could have been multiple price improvements along the way. This report is showing us, for instance, if we look at the first property, it was listed at $334,500 and it sold for $325,000. The original list price may have been higher than the $334,500, which we have access to see that, just not on this report. So now we can see that most of the homes here have been selling for around 100% or more of the asking price. Very encouraging. We know the market at the time of this recording is slowing down. However, there still is also a real shortage of inventory. So if we take our time to look at the market and understand what properties have sold for, and we price it accordingly, it's still very likely that your home will sell reasonably quick, or I should say will go under contract reasonably quick, and then after that comes a closing timeline. So most of them are about 100% as we look at this. There were a few that were higher. We have 101, we have 110, almost 111%. That particular home was listed at $364,900. It sold for $405,000. Well, either that house was underpriced or somebody really wanted that house, and that extra, gee whiz, $40,000 or 10% didn't really matter to that person. And that's okay too, right? That is an indication of the market demand. However, when we're looking at this, the point is, and we talked through this at length on our team meeting, we want to look at all this information because the importance of this information, it's paramount in us trying to figure out what is the appropriate pricing strategy for your particular house. No two houses are going to be exactly the same. It's kind of like a used car. Once they're used, you know, they're all a little bit different, but there are certainly similarities within a neighborhood as a neighborhood was developed, if that makes sense. But as you can see, most homes in the last 120 days in this particular neighborhood have sold reasonably quick. So that's what I wanted to jump on for. Again, we have access to all the other information. We can look at pictures and we bring notes with us when we go on a listing appointment. You know, this home had granite, this home did not. This home had a 2-car garage, this home had a 1-car garage, this home didn't have a garage at all. And those are all possible adjustments. Last point here real quick too is in trying to figure out if something actually makes sense, and we're checking our numbers to make sure, wait, is this falling within line here? We're going to look at the sold dollar per square foot price, and we want to see, are we in line with the market in that neighborhood based on the square footage of a particular house? What you do find in general, apples to apples, if a home has a little bit less square footage than the home next door which sold, we often find the dollar per square foot of the smaller home might be a little higher than the dollar per square foot of the home next door if there's enough sales velocity in that particular neighborhood and the conditions are kind of similar. So for instance, if we came up with a pricing strategy on a particular house in this neighborhood and our calculations were coming out and telling us, well, it's a $303 per square foot valuation. When we look at this report, this may put us in check and say, wait, hold on a second. The lowest was 207, the highest was 273, and the average for that neighborhood was 245. So if we're coming up with a calculation or a feeling that this home is over $300 per square foot, probably not right. We probably need to recheck our data. And of course, all this ties back to industry standards. So if the buyer of a particular house needs a mortgage, which is the case most of the time, I think 80, 90%, something like that, maybe more. If that's the case, then we have to look at it and use industry standards. So an appraiser is going to come out from the buyer's mortgage company, and that appraiser is going to be looking at the same data. So we have to look at things the same way that the appraiser is going to look at it. Just like any industry, there are guidelines and standards that we abide by. Anyway, I just wanted to jump on here for a few minutes, talk to you about pricing and the importance of it and how we approach it on our team. Please like this video, subscribe to our channel. We really appreciate all the likes, thumbs up, comments, and looking forward to hearing from you real soon.